Hey friends, how's it going? It's Erin with What a Witch Knows. I'm just shuffling my tarot cards here. I'm getting ready to do a wild card reading. That was a word that came into my head earlier today when I asked Spirit what kind of reading I should do. I haven't actually been guided to come on and do a video in a few days. Just the energy wasn't feeling quite right. So I was feeling like I should do it today, and I asked Spirit what I should do, and the word that came into my head was wild card. So I guess we're just gonna open up and tarot. Sorry, I mean the tower on the split, which can be kind of an unexpected energy. We just had Uranus, the planet of shakeups and unexpected things, go direct a little bit ago. I'm not gonna take that though because I feel like the energy is still kind of moving through these cards. Um, Anyway, so I feel like I'm not really supposed to know the message that's going to come through. Sometimes I do in advance, but more and more often these days I don't. So we're just going to find out what Spirit wants to talk to us about. The Tower came out again. That's interesting. So I'm just going to go ahead and take it. I think that's meant to be our first card. It came out in the split. So, this is a card that's all about the unexpected. And I know it looks bad, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It can be something good that's unexpected, right? Like, I think the problem with the unexpected is that oftentimes because it's unknown, we're afraid of it because we can't control it, right? So it's difficult to say something unexpected is going to happen without us thinking, oh God, like what's it going to be? And I think that's probably why this tarot card is depicted in the way it is, because there's so much fear around that, so much fear around the unknown. But I mean, I think if we open ourselves up to the possibilities of the unknown, um, that is, I think, first of all, that's going to be something that we're going to be challenged to do very much so in this new era, the Age of Aquarius, we're moving into now that we have Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20 odd years. It's going to be a huge change, different things coming up every day that we're going to have to deal with, whether it's like AI or just like new partnerships and new friendships that we're walking into, or we're reimagining our identities and how we show up in the world and how we show up in public. These are things that are all very, very scary, especially for people who like a lot of stability. So I mean, I would just encourage everyone to just like breathe. Like this is the this is the guidance I'm getting right now. Just like if we can all just kind of breathe and center ourselves and make sure that we're grounded and just sort of going with the flow. It doesn't have to be scary. Like the change, the new, the unexpected doesn't have to be scary as long as we have that stability within ourselves, because that's going to be really the only stability that we have from here on out. There's going to be all this chaos around outside us, but if we can tune in deeply to our intuition, tune in deeply to our own sense of inner strength, that's going to be our rock. We have to be our own rocks, really, in this energy. Um, I'm just deciding whether I want to take the tower out or I'm just going to leave him in the deck. Okay, let's see what else we got. Um, okay, so we're starting off here with the Four of Cups. This can be about just really being intentional about the opportunities that are coming your way. I think maybe the traditional interpretation of this card is, you know, maybe not taking an opportunity that the universe is presenting to you for whatever reason, but I view it more as like just being discerning. This guy is not necessarily gonna not take this cup at some point in the future. I think he's just kind of contemplating, sitting with it, being intentional about whether or not he's going to take it, right? And then the Three Cups in front of him, that's, reminiscent of the Three of Cups, which is all about, reunion and happiness and good times and connection and soul family, which is, those are all the positive aspects that could come from this new era that we're walking into in the Age of Aquarius. So, I mean, I think it's just telling us to like tap the brakes on, what we're walking into if we're being offered a new, job opportunity or a new project or even a new friendship or even just something really small. If it's like a new phone plan or something like that, can we just pause for a second and just run it through our intuition, run it through our emotional body, see how it feels, and think about what it feels and whether or not we want to take that opportunity or not. So I think that's what that's saying. Um, And then this is a really positive card to have as a follow-up to that. It's the Ten of Pentacles. So the Ten of Pentacles is all about material wealth and abundance, and it can also be a lot about stability. And I think maybe that reflects back to what I was talking about earlier, which is finding that stability within ourselves. We're entering into an area and a time, and I'll say it again, where there isn't going to feel like there's much stability outside of ourselves. So we have to turn inward to find that stability. And I think for the people who master that, I really do believe that that's going to show up externally in terms of money, in terms of wealth, in terms of stability exterior, if you can find that stability interior, if that makes sense. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so this card to me is all about tuning into your intuition. This woman is blindfolded, but she has the water behind her and the moon behind her. And those are both symbols of intuition to me. I think the traditional interpretation with the Two of Swords is that you can't make a decision, or that you're stuck between two options. But to me, this just kind of says, similar to what the Four of Cups was saying, let's pause, let's tune into our intuition, and let's see what feels good, because that's going to be our compass in this new era that we're walking into. It's the mind, which is what the swords represent, the mind and sort of the thinking body. For however long, however many centuries, that has been the way that we've traditionally made our decisions. And that era is on its way out. We can't do that anymore, because there is so much information out there. So much of it is false. So much of it is sort of coded with misinformation and control and manipulation, that the only way that we're going to know what's real and what's helpful for us is if we tune in deeply to our intuition. And that will help us guide our actions. So I think that's what this card is saying. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, Temperance. This is a really beautiful card. I think this is also talking about finding that peace within ourselves. Temperance can also be about patience. So I know that can be like a little bit frustrating when you're putting those intentions out into the world and you're wanting things to manifest immediately and you're not seeing a return on your investment immediately. I think patience is going to be a virtue here. And I think also in that interim, in that waiting period, can you just enjoy, the little things about life and enjoy the things that bring you peace. In the meantime, can you just take a walk in nature? Can you, cook a meal that you really enjoy? Can you take a nap? Or, whatever it is that brings you peace and pulls you out of that spinning mental body and into just more of just like that sort of bliss, peaceful, meditative state. Meditation, I think, just in general, is going to be a really great practice to get into these next couple months. Definitely these next couple years. If you haven't started a practice, I would definitely recommend that. You can even use one of those apps, like I think, like Headspace, or there's another one I can't remember, but they offer very simple guided meditations. And even if you just have 5 minutes, you can sort of pull yourself into this sort of very meditative, peaceful space. And actually, I don't know, this is just like a tip, but like I've noticed that like a lot of like random subscriptions, like, oh, I'm going to sign up for Spotify and they'll offer like a year of Headspace subscription with it. I'm not making any money off that or anything. I'm just saying that like it seems like there's a lot of free Headspace subscriptions out there to be had if you want to look for it. This is interesting too. It came out on the split. We have, okay, so we have the King of Cups, the Queen of Wands, and then beneath those two, which is interesting, we have the King of Swords and the Magician. And so this is just like, I feel like a really powerful 4 cards here. The Magician is all about bringing that power from the universe and manifesting it into your own life. The King of Cups is all about working with your emotions and that emotional mastery. So learning how to regulate your emotions and move them through your body and not necessarily, lashing out at somebody or something like that. The Queen of Wands, she has her little black cat here. She's about action. She's about passion. She's about doing the things that make her feel good. And then the King of Swords he's really about communication. He's about communicating what he needs and communicating I kind of see him as almost like kind of like a spiritual news anchor or a messenger, someone who can tell you information from the spirit realm that's going to be useful and helpful to you on your journey, kind of like the way that Archangel Gabriel was a messenger of the gods. So I probably took too many here. I felt like I bit off a little bit more than I can chew. I normally just do like one or two at a time, but let's start with, now I can't even remember which came out together. Let's start with the Magician and the King of Cups. So I think that this is probably what we're walking into as far as our own personal energy. I think that if we can learn to manifest using our emotions, so pulling ourselves, like I was talking about earlier, into that space of being meditative, being peaceful, being in the flow, that's the space that you manifest from, right? Like if you're stressed out, if you're frustrated, if you're like, why isn't this here yet? That's not the way you manifest. So again, just practice that everyday routine of pulling yourself back into that meditative space, that peaceful space, that space where you feel stable internally. And then that's going to manifest into your exterior world. And then when we have the King of Swords, who is this messenger figure, with the Queen of Wands, who is this action figure, yeah, I mean, honestly, this is a little bit of a confusing message for me. I'm not sure if I'm reading this correctly, but I'm kind of feeling like the person who was the spiritual messenger here is sort of teaming up with this person who is the sort of action, the action person over here. So and I'm almost sort of seeing them as two different parts of yourself. So there's that part of yourself that wants to sort of broadcast, communicate, this is who I am, this is what I do. And then there's the person who actually, walks the walk and does what they say they're going to do. And that's the Queen of Wands. So these are like the two parts of ourselves, I think, that we're trying to marry as we move into this new Aquarius energy, because really we're going to have to learn to communicate to people who we are now, because that's a very different person than who we were, even a year ago, definitely 5 years ago. I think we should all take some time to start thinking about how do we show up in the world now? And if we had 5 minutes in an elevator to introduce ourselves to somebody and tell them about our passions and our values and like what mattered to us and what we do in the world and how we serve other people, like what would we say and how would we like succinctly describe that? And from there, if we have that sort of knowledge, how can we then take that and go out into the world and make that happen with our own actions? Even if they're small actions, how can we get started on sort of embodying who we are now, like embodying our new selves in this new Aquarius era? How can we do that? That's something that I'm definitely working on personally. It's a really useful, I think, exercise if you want to start thinking about it in terms of like, what is your mission statement? What is your why? Why are you here? What is your bio? Can you tell people just briefly, who are you and what do you do and how are you serving the community? Because once you have that, then you'll start to actually embody it more. So I think that that's a really good thing to think about. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. It was a little bit of a weird, reading, but I appreciate you sort of like going with the flow with me. And I think that's maybe part of the message, is that we're all going to have like sort of less guidance. Like there's going to be like less of that thing where you sit down at your desk and someone tells you what to do between 9 and 5. And it's going to be more of, well, what do you want to do? Like you're just going to have to think about that more and think about it as far as something that's aligned with your own personal values and excitement and joy too. So anyway, guys, I know it's a little bit of a different new world that we're walking into, but I hope that we can all kind of learn to go with the flow together. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care. Blessed be.